welcome back to the Nutmeg. What we're going to do today is a little bit of a track overview, and if I can get my phone to focus here, there we go. We're going to be walking through, so this is the end of the layout, and then as we move around over there, it doesn't want to focus. There we go, wraps around the corner. Of course, I've got a huge mess. Holy Toledo. But so let's start over here though, at our municipal lot, or I call it a municipal lot, but it's a municipal spur. We've got a warehouse down here on this end of it, and then as we move along, we've got an area to offload some hopper cars, that sort of thing. I thought that I'd do a pit, but I'll probably fill that little guy in and put in like those mobile units, so that we don't have to be moving the cars around. We've got a little bit of a ramp for loading, unloading flat cars like this with utility poles. You can see that I've got a fork loader business here, and let's focus here. I don't know what's going on. There we go. So I got a little fork loader here. I had to ramp this up, so I could get up to it. That's going to be for loading up any sort of open hopper cars with any kind of aggregate, that sort of thing. You can see I've got some wood chip hoppers in the background. Those were going out of town at the end of last video. You'll see why they're up here on the top level in just a minute, and I'll cut to the chase. It's because I don't have my bottom level. You can see down there, down there is all full of all kinds of stuff. So I've been working on a upper deck sort of thing, and my plan for the bottom has kind of changed. So I've paused with the tracks and all that sort of stuff, and I've decided to just simply focus on the top level. In any case, here we go. So this is the end of the municipal spur. We come off of the yard. It's like in the middle of the yard. You can see, let's see, 1, 2, and then another one over here. Those three are the yard, and this is the main, and then this is LF Powers over here. Then we've got another turnout. It goes back to this sort of storage track, and then you can see too on this end. Scooch it over. You can see how this end of the yard ties back into the main line. This yard is based on kind of a sorting area for the Vermont Rail up in Bellows Falls at their Riverside transload facility. It's a private industry not owned by BTR, but in any case, it's based on that loosely. And so, but I liked the way that it laid out, so, and it fit my layout, so here we go. So, point of interest here, we've got a flat screen TV, that the height of which needed to break the top line here, right? So I allowed it to do that, and then decided to put an industry back there, right? So these guys are boxcar, and those are supplying this warehouse, which is accessed from the track for Riverhead supply. We've got our track for storing the shelving platforms. Shelving platforms are needed for LF Powers and Suburban Fuel, and then also just simply going up and down to the lower deck. I intentionally made my layout so that I did not have a runaround on the bottom, and said, well, instead of having a runaround, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use shelving platforms, and I'm going to do it that way, make things safe that way. So, because I wanted a modern layout, but I also wanted to use to have some use of cabooses, right? So the way that we do that in the modern era is have shelving platforms, and I figured out a way to do that. Now on this end of the yard, we begin to kind of come down into, we choke down from, come on, focus. We choke down from 3 classification yards into 2, right? And this turnout branches us over into track 1. This is track 2, and then we go down into track 3 over here, right? But this is the lead that attaches to all 3 of the classification tracks. And then this is kind of a runaround type track / storage track. And at the moment, I don't have anything on these tracks, or we're not running through this roadway quite yet because it's still wet. I'm waiting for things to dry. If I could focus, that'd be great. Come on, phone, there we go. I just put this in, and I'm kind of waiting for it to dry, and then I'll sort of I'll be able to run through there. I've got my little templates for the spaces between the rails, and sorry for moving around so quick. Spaces for between the rails, and once we get all of this sort of dried, I should be able to run some trains. However, one thing that I've done is, you can see here, I've got a nice road crossing area. That in the background, I can deliver a cut of cars, a couple of them. I think that's going to be a US Foods, so I've got some refrigerator cars back there, right? And that's back in the corner. That comes off of the main line right there, with a tower right there at the corner of my layout, so that it sees down. Move around, sorry. You can see it there in the background. It can see down the sorting tracks, and then you can also see what's coming up the main line, and that sort of thing. So I couldn't see that, so hopefully it came up. So I've got a tower there. Got my road. Excuse me. Got my road crossing. Got a background building. Set up a nice scene there. I did take out You can see the shadow here of railroad ties, that sort of thing. I did have an extra track back there off of the main line. There was a switch right here, and it came off straight and then started curving around, and then it tied in. You can see right over here. So I took out that from there, right? And ultimately I took that track out because it was just simply, I've got enough interest here in the front, and I've got some business back here. I wanted to create enough space for a nice deep sort of background feature. Like, and I'm testing out some stuff here with some like pillow fill and painting it green and getting some foliage on there. And then, so to get down into here, what we do is, oh, hang on. Before I get to this, let's go back to this river head, right? So let's follow that out and around this corner, across the road, and out behind here. There's the switches there. 2 switches back to back. One heads off to Riverhead, and then the other one comes down. See if I can show you this. Comes down behind this factory building, which is going to be called Zine. It's a magazine printing shop. And so let's slide down there. So here we go. This is our spur coming down in. And it's a switchback to get to Zine here in the foreground. And then over there down to Walter's Puppy Emporium is what I originally called it. That's to honor my late long-haired Chihuahua. He was an amazing little guy. And I wanted to put an industry in there to honor him. And then we've got Zine here that's set up for composition here, right? And then the spur lead heads down past this sort of residential area, which is going to be mill housing, that sort of thing. I've got another one of these guys. I think I'm going to buy maybe 1 or 2 more kits to kind of have some more houses lined up here. You can see I've started my road from the fascia here. I've got my road and then a little bit of a organic material sort of area, then the track for the buildings. And that road continues, I'll show you, continues right around the corner here. And then that's going to continue down that way. And I think it's what we're going to do is I'm going to create like this hillside here with maybe like an overpass, like a main road sort of thing, sort of situation going on. Main road heading up here, and then maybe what I'll do is I'll have this road in the foreground kind of cut across and do like an on-ramp sort of thing, and then do a bridge, a second bridge over here, and kind of like create like a tunnel, right? A tunnel sort of thing, but not really a tunnel, and just have like a V in the hillside with the bridge going across. That might disguise that hole here, and then of course that one will just simply be behind the hillside there. And then lastly, on the top deck here, I've been going back and forth on what this spur is on the back. I did have the switch there, and I thought that this would be the good spot for a recycling facility, but I don't think that that's what I want to do. Instead, I decided, or I thought that maybe I'd have a whatchamacallit, maintenance of way spur, right? And that's what it's kind of set up right now as, but I don't think that I need a spur if I have, so where these weight cars are sitting is still the track lead, or the yard lead, and then you can see this, let me see if I can point here. So we've got these cars along the lead. This is the main line, and then this track is that storage run-around track. Okay, so I don't think that I need a maintenance of way on these things if I've got that track right there. Now, it means, in me using that for maintenance of way, it does mean that I'm going to need some sort of staging area in order to load, unload cars that are parked on there. Or I could just simply use it for storage. And then way back over there, in the corner, the storage track that was over there, I could use that for maintenance of way. So ultimately, where that leaves us is, hang on, what do I do with this spur? And I think what I'm going to do is, currently, this is Suburban Fuel. It's a discount home heating oil distributor, and I think what I might do is I might move that over to here, right? And then just simply allow this lead to go off into the scenery, bunch of overgrown trackage and everything, but it'll be enough space for me to come down into here with a full cut of cars, right? So that would be probably 2 for this industry and 1 for that industry. So those 3, I'd be able to have 2 locomotives plus 6 cars, right? So I've got 3 new for the spur, and then 3, like I can come down with 3 new cars, come in, grab these 3, come back out, have enough room on here in order to clear the switch. I can push those 3 cars onto my lead, or my spur, and then come back down and not have to mess around with potentially needing to do something down there. In any case, that's the top level, and then of course main line heads down behind my factory housing and then down 2.5% grade all the way down to the bottom level, which again is an absolute disaster, so let's not focus on that. Another little update that I've got going on is I've started putting in a fascia, which is really nice. It really helps. And I'm actually liking the way this sort of corner area is beginning to work out with the scenery and everything. So more to come on that. And so in any case, I think that's about all we're going to do for today. Lower level, we'll get to that when we get to that. But that should give you an idea of what I'm working with here on the top level. It's plenty enough to keep me occupied for probably another couple of years. But I don't think that I'm going to be waiting a couple of years before I get down to the lower level. And just so that everybody knows, lower level does extend all the way down there behind the TV, right? So ultimately, spinning around, comes down, right? And comes in like this. This is the bottom, that right there is the bottom of the incline. So we've got this little area here for some industries and scenery, same size here as down over yonder, right? And then spin around again, and then over here continues off to that way. That was the original plan, but I just said a little while ago that my plans were changing, and ultimately I think what I might do is I might come out with a peninsula so that I can get some shops, rail shops in there, and because the shops were up here, for the rail yard, for Nutmeg, and I'm moving them down where I can actually park some cars that I need to work on down there and everything. So, and that'll create a little shop area where I can begin to, do some programming tracks and all that sort of stuff. So, in any case, that's us done for today, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.